Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to call to order the Fraser City Council regular virtual meeting for Thursday, January 14th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Dolan, could you please do a roll call? And for council members, just identify if your location is in the state or not.
Member Baranski?
Present, Fraser, Michigan.
Okay, Member Blanky?
Present, City Hall.
Member Carnegie?
Present, City Hall.
Member Kulka?
Present, Fraser, Michigan.
Member Lesage?
Present, I'm in Michigan.
Okay, Member Shornack?
Present, Fraser, Michigan.
And Member Winowicki?
Present, Fraser, Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda, unless there's any other amendments. Councilwoman Kulka.
Thank you, Mayor. I just would like to amend the agenda to add, I think it would be 9I.
9I, yep.
And it would just be a motion to amend agenda for discussion of extension of the interim city manager's contract.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any comments or questions on that motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Okay, Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky? Yes. Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kulka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes. Kelly, you're on mute, FYI.
Okay, I'm sorry. Member Winowicki?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carries. Mayor Pro Tem Winowicki, did you have one?
I do. Item 9F, based on communication from our city manager, is that an item that we want to remove from this discussion tonight?
9F.
Approval of 2021 poverty exemption policy and guidelines.
That is correct. That's G.
It's G, yeah.
Yeah, item G.
Okay.
Second.
You are correct. So we have a motion and second. Any comments and questions on that motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Okay, Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kulka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes.
Member Winowicki?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve as amended.
Motion.
We have a
Second.
motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments or questions? I see none. Ms. Dolan?
Sure. Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kulka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes.
Member Winowicki?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have an agenda. Item 5, citizen participation on agenda items only at this time. If there's anybody in the waiting room who has any comments related to the agenda items only, please make yourself known so we can allow you into the meeting. I see none on my screen. Okay, we have none at this time. I will move on to item 6, public hearing. At this time, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing at 6:35 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? I see none. Ms. Dolan, call a vote.
Kelly's on mute.
Yes.
Member Baranski,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Member Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lessig,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
You're on mute, Patrice.
Sorry. Yes.
okay, Member Winwiki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the public meeting is opened. Is there any comments, questions, or presenters at this time for the open meeting? I recognize Dory Vasquez. Nolan?
Hi,
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us. My name is Dory Vasquez Nolan, and I'm the Executive Director of Care House, the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center. Our main office is located in Mount Clemens, and we also have a satellite office located in the city of Warren. Care House is the only agency in Macomb County providing a comprehensive intervention, advocacy, and treatment response for child victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse, and children who may have been witness to a violent act, as well as their non-offending family members. Our goal is to minimize the trauma that is typically associated with the abuse and with the investigative and prosecution phases, and to support the child victim and family members to begin the healing process. Care House is one of over 800 accredited children's advocacy centers in the United States, and one of 35 accredited centers in Michigan, serving over 50 counties. We collaborate with all law enforcement jurisdictions in Macomb County, as well as the FBI, Homeland Security, and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, Children's Protective Services, the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, and medical and mental health professionals. We know that talking about child sexual abuse is difficult and uncomfortable, but unfortunately, it's a big part of the problem. We can't wish away child sexual abuse or pretend that it doesn't exist. The reality is that at least 1 in 10 children will become victims of child sexual abuse before they turn 18. That means that almost 3 children in every Michigan classroom, and over 20,000 of all the children right here in Macomb County today are living with the trauma of sexual abuse. And these numbers are most likely much higher than our best estimates because most children don't tell. Sadly, living with sexual abuse is a reality for children of every race, gender, and economic status. And these kids could be your kids, your neighbor's kids, your kids' friends, and one may have even been you or me. Over 90% of child victims do know their abuser, and those who molest children look and act just like everyone else. They could be your neighbors, a teacher, clergy, parents, or other family members. They can be adults or children.
Is everybody muted, please?
That is concerning.
Hold on, please, Dory.
Okay.
I apologize. Go ahead, Ed.
That's okay.
I apologize for that, Dory. We don't know who that was, but we'll see what we can do to take care of that.
Okay.
You may proceed.
Okay. Children that come to Care House come from every community in Macomb County, and they were spared the trauma of multiple interviews and provided with the support and tools that they need to heal. After a forensic interview, Care House also offers follow-up services for child victims and their family, intervening to promote healing and helping families to cope with the emotional trauma and stress that is caused not only by the acts of abuse, but by the investigation. Those services include crisis counseling, child safety assessments, parent and child support groups, trauma-focused therapy sessions, family advocacy, access and referrals to forensic medical examinations, which are handled by Turning Point's SANE Nurse program, a family pantry with cleaning supplies, baby items, PPEs, school supplies, children's books, etc. We offer holiday assistance to families that we have identified as struggling during the holidays. We offer referrals to other needed community services, and as the local counsel in Macomb County for the Michigan Children's Trust Fund, Care House offers child abuse information, prevention, education, and training for professionals and to the community at large. Families are never charged for any of the services that they receive at Care House, and we provide services to all referred families and their non-offending family members. We're very proud to report, according to our most recent financial audit, which was just completed, that over 88 cents of every dollar that comes to Care House is specifically devoted to serving children and families in our community. Since we opened in 1996, we have conducted over 8,500 forensic interviews, and 164 of those children were residents of the city of Fraser. In 2018, we conducted 753 forensic interviews with 17 of those children residing in Fraser. In 2019, we had 15 children from Fraser, and last year, we conducted 664 forensic interviews with 14 children being residents of Fraser. Last year, we were very grateful for the $4,800 we received from the city of Fraser, which helped us support services for 8 children. 2020, as everyone can, I'm sure, attest to, has been a very challenging year for Care House and for the families that we serve. Our services were determined to be essential, so our staff continued to serve children and families even during the stay-at-home orders. Unfortunately, we did cancel 2 of our annual fundraising events, and so our resources are being stretched thin. We've already seen a greater demand for support and services from families who were impacted by the pandemic, and we've also experienced greater expenses, unexpected expenses, as we implement policies and practices to protect our staff and the families that we serve. We depend so much on support from the community to be a voice for children and to provide a safe place for them to be heard. Again, we're so grateful for the longstanding support of the city of Fraser. This year, we respectfully request your consideration for funding in the amount of $4,800 to support services for 8 child victims and their families who would be qualified residents of the city of Fraser. Of course, we'd be grateful for any amount of money that you would be able to allocate to us. For more information about Care House, we invite you to visit our website at www.mccarehouse.org and to like or follow us on Facebook. Thanks again, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Well, thank you for all the updates, Dory, and your presentation. At this time, I think Councilwoman Blanke has a question or comment for you.
Thank you. Dory, I would like to thank you for your involvement and your mission that you extend throughout the county, especially the numbers you gave relative to the Fraser residency. 1 child is way too many, as far as I can figure, and I do appreciate your fortitude in extending this year after year after year. And Mayor, I don't know, could I make a motion?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dory, thank you for
Thank
everything you
you.
do, and God bless you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mayor Pro Tem Winowicki?
Dory,
Hi.
I just want to thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, again, thank you, Dory. I really appreciate you coming out. I mean, to us, it's very important that the people who come forth with us with a presentation or a visit. Unfortunately, this year it's virtually, but we like to see everybody in face, and we appreciate you coming to us and requesting it in person.
Thanks again.
Yep, thank you. I believe I see Dominica from Turning Point. Good evening.
Good evening.
You have the
Thank you for
floor.
having us. So my name is Dominica. I am the Chief Program Officer at Turning Point. I'm a representative tonight from our shelter program to request $2,500 in the community block grant money for Fraser to assist provisions of shelter services for survivors and their families of domestic and sexual violence from Fraser. So Turning Point has been a part of the community for over 40 years. We are a domestic and sexual violence support organization, similar to what Dory was talking about, inside of Macomb County. Turning Point Shelter provides emergency shelter to Fraser residents fleeing violence in their home. So in our fiscal year of 2020, we provided 939 shelter bed nights to 19 adults, including 13 children of residents of Fraser. This includes the shelter part, the basic needs. Some examples of that are clothing, diapers, formula, and toiletries, all the meals, crisis intervention around the clock, 24/7, 365, case management, child supportive services and advocacy, program advocacy, and support groups. In addition to our shelter program, Turning Point provides services to these Fraser residents, which were 20 individuals received help filing a personal protection order. 7 people received counseling and advocacy services. 1 person received legal advocacy service assistance. And then 1 Fraser survivor received a forensic exam, which included crisis intervention, information, and referral from our first response team for them. We also took in 33 hotline calls, which is our hotline is 24/7. So even during COVID, we are offering comprehensive array of services. So we still offer our 24/7, 365 hotline, our emergency shelter, home-based community housing and advocacy for residents leaving shelter, individual and group counseling, assistance for filing personal protection order, forensic nurse examiner program, legal advocacy, prevention, education. And then we also have a Turning Point also has a secondhand rose store to assist survivors with basic needs free of cost. And then you can also shop there for fun, and all the money goes back into our programs. So of course, instead of being here tonight, informing you about violence within the homes in Fraser, Macomb County, but unfortunately we are still here. And if awarded the $2,500 requested from all of you, we would be able to approximately give 80 nights of shelter to Fraser residents. And I thank you very much to address this council and your consideration and part of the solution of a community response to domestic and sexual violence. Do you have any questions?
Great. Well, thank you for your presentation and being present for us and offering all the information. At this time, council, does anyone have any comments or questions? Councilwoman Baranski.
I'd just like to extend the same appreciation that I think everyone on council shares, the same sentiment for all of the groups today. Thank you for all you do for our community, our neighbors, our residents, and ourselves. We clearly appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mayor Pro Tem Winowicki.
I just want to echo that sentiment. I really appreciate all the work that you do.
Right. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you again, Monica.
Yes.
Is there anybody else at this time? Scott from IBC. Scott?
Hi, good evening to the Fraser City Council members. My name is Scott Andrews, and I work for Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. I'm the Client Services Coordinator. Our Executive Director is in another meeting. Happy New Year to you all. I cannot imagine the challenges of being an elected city, state, or federal service person right now. So I appreciate the opportunity to address you. So our Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers Group, for 28 years, our organization has been providing basic assistance to elderly and disabled residents of Macomb County by offering essential support services at no cost to our low-income neighbors in need. Our mission is to help those often forgotten neighbors to live safely and independently in their own homes for as long as possible. Our CDBG funding is essential for the growth of our chore, repair, and home maintenance services, that meeting a growing need of senior and disabled residents throughout the region. Our support is cited as the reason that many of our senior neighbors are able to remain safe at home, which is the name of our program. So what our organization does is each year we provide about 20,000 hours of volunteer service for a little over 500 Macomb County seniors and or disabled adults that could use help each and every year. All of that is done for free. And one big component of our organization is we attempt to assist them with chores and minor repairs. As an example, replacing a light fixture. We have seniors, as you can imagine, who are unable to, these days, put in plastic around their windows or change their furnace filters because of, again, some maybe physical limitations. We have volunteers that help seniors by raking leaves, by winterizing their shrubs, doing spring yard cleanups, occasionally some painting, and then certainly the life safety issues of fixing a broken or wobbly step or railing. These are all examples of items that we do for our seniors, basically chores, repairs, basic housekeeping and maintenance. We are looking to grow our service. So we have a formal CDBG request for funding for $740 from the city of Fraser. It appears the last 3 fiscal years, we were not awarded any money. And I believe in fiscal year 2018, let me check. In fiscal year 2018, we did receive a $1,000 CDBG allocation from the city of Fraser. But ultimately, we're hoping that you could look at this program favorably. We're really just trying to help with volunteer services, and then people such as myself coordinating that, getting help to residents in Fraser, along with our other requests for other cities. And we're grateful to partner with your city. And I am happy to take any questions on either our program or just IVC in general.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate it very much. Also, you being present. I just looked at 2018. I didn't see your name on there, but it could have been something different that's there. But I believe that I remember giving you guys something at one time before. Anybody from council have any questions, comments? Okay, I see none. Councilwoman Baranski.
Sorry, sorry, yeah, can I just ask, where are you actually like located? I hadn't heard of you. I'm new to council, so I hadn't heard of you before. So if a senior's looking for this kind of service, where would they reach out to?
So we just purchased from a different charity nonprofit. We are now located in Roseville on Kelly Road, basically Kelly Road and 10 Mile. For the last 14 years, we had been renting out a unused church building in Centerline. But we've been around, as I'd said, now for about 28 years. And the neatest thing is we utilize volunteers to help these seniors that are looking for assistance. A lot of what we do are actually getting them free rides door to door to and from doctor's appointments. That's probably the bulk of our hours. And we do receive some funding from the Smart Bus from that. And then we are one of the go-to organizations for the Area Agency on Aging. But what I was going to say, because we utilize volunteer assistance, quite honestly, when we get a request from, let's say, a resident of Fraser who is looking for help because their mailbox has fallen down, we look at volunteers who are willing to do repairs and handiwork and look for a volunteer who is in that rough general area. So even though our office is now in Roseville, we're drawing from volunteers from the Tri-County area and are trying to help seniors in the Tri-County area.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much for all you do for the community and our seniors.
Absolutely.
Thank you again. Is there anybody else at this time? Okay, I don't see any. I'll go ahead and I'll close the public hearing at 6:58 p.m. And we'll move on to item A, Community Development Block Grant Funding for 2021 Macomb County Urban County Program. Mr. Thompson, do you want to update us on that?
Well, Mr. Mayor, this is my first time through this process, but at this point, we would hope that the council would make it various allocations. You've heard 3 presentations this evening, and we've provided to you some other requests that came to the council, at least in the form of a spreadsheet. By my calculations, the three requests that you heard this evening totaled $8,040, and I would remind the council that we have, according to the block grant program, we have $8,250 to allocate here. So, as I said, $8,040, I think, if my calculations are correct, is the total of the requests you've heard today, compared to $8,250 being the allocation we have to distribute.
So we have an extra 210 that we can distribute also.
You're relying on my calculations, but I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Councilwoman Shornack.
I was going to make a motion to allocate the funds that were requested by the 3 individuals who appeared today. So Care House, Turning Point, and the chore group, the interfaith one, and then the additional funds to be sent to Nick Rest, even though they didn't come today, because I do know that they do a lot of work in our community as well for those who are homeless and need shelter.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion. Let's see. And a second. Any comments and questions on that motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kalka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes. Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes.
Member Winawicki?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I would just like to say thank you to all the charities that did even request from us, because I know, especially right now with COVID, you guys are being tested even more than usual. especially for, since you're not able to have the fundraisers that you normally have and the things that you normally get to generate funds. So to know that at least I think I speak for most of council. I'm not gonna say for everybody, but I do believe the communities are very grateful for what you do for all the communities that are surrounding us, and it's very needed services. So thank you very much.
Great. Anybody else? Again, good work to all you guys. We're honored to help you out when we can, and at this time we can. So please move forward and use the money wisely, and good luck in trying to get rid of these horrible things that happen. Appreciate it.
Yes, good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Item B, approval of 2021 Community Development Block Grant allocation. I believe that's what we just did.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. Councilwoman Kalka?
Sure, I just was going to address item 7A, motion to go into closed session to consult the city's legal counsel regarding trial and settlement strategy in connection with Macomb County Circuit Court case number 2019-002843-CD.
Second.
Support.
Motion and support. Ms. Dolan, can you please call a vote?
Member Bransky,
Yes.
Member Blanky, Member Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lesich,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
Yes.
Member Winawicki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to close session at 7:03 p.m. Thank you.
Hey, Suzanne, your new nickname is Princess Leia.
I know, or Philea, apparently.
That's a really bad analogy. You don't have 2 space buns.
Thank you. Thank you.
What?
Space buns.
That's what they're called.
No, but I get conceptually where he's.
Well, because of the headphones.
Yeah.
He's got to get out more.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, we're ready.
All right, let's do it.
I'm just checking on the cable. Okay, we're good. I see the light. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order at 7:42 p.m. Councilwoman Baranski.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to direct Defense Counsel to proceed in the manner discussed and authorize the signing of any necessary paperwork as to Christina Woods.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments and questions on that motion? Oh, Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Yes. Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kalka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Absolutely no.
Okay. Member Winawicki?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Councilwoman Baranski.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to proceed in the manner as recommended by Defense Counsel and authorize the signing of any necessary paperwork as to Kelly Dolan.
Okay.
Second.
We have a second. Any comments and questions on that motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Yes. Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
No.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kalka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Absolutely no.
Okay. And Member Winawicki?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Motion carries. Councilwoman Susan Kalka.
Thank you, Mayor. This time I'd like to make a motion to direct Amy Sell to immediately post and begin the application process for a new city clerk. And as part of my motion, I'd like Ms. Sell to be able to recommend an appointment of an interim city clerk until a new suitable replacement can be found.
Support.
Do we have a motion and support? Any comments or questions on that motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Yes. Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kalka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes.
Member Winawicki?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Item 8, consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Mayor Pro Tem Winawicki?
Yeah, with item 8A, I believe there was a revision that was given to us. Do we need to make any kind of comment about 8A before we approve that consent agenda?
Well, that reversion was submitted as part of the consent agenda, I believe.
Was.
Yeah, I remember looking at it.
It was.
So this particular agenda is then officially then this agenda has been revised to include that revision. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's my understanding. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for pointing out. So would you like to second it?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions on the motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, can you please call a vote?
Member Bransky,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Member Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lesage,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
Yes.
Member Winawiki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item 9, request for council action. Item A, request council approval for the reappointment of Historical Commission member Marilyn Wright, term to end June 30th, 2024.
I'd like to
Support.
make a motion.
Well, Councilwoman Shornack.
I wanted to make the motion to reappoint Marilyn Wright to the Historical Commission. She is, just want to throw a little thing in there real quick because I've worked with her and she's been on the commission for an extremely long time and she's very passionate about it. So I would like to make the motion to approve her.
We have
Second.
a motion and a second. Yeah, she does a great job. Absolutely. We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions?
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
I would agree with Councilwoman Shornack that Marilyn Wright has been one of the most wonderful, sincere, genuine volunteers the city has known for many, many decades. She's given unconditionally, and she has been so good to Fraser. So thank you, Mrs. Wright, and welcome aboard again. Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote? Sure.
Okay. Member Bransky,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Member Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
Yes.
Member Lesage,
You're on mute.
Yeah, I had to switch headphones. Yes.
okay, Member Shornack,
Yes.
Member Winawiki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carries. Ms. Wright, if you're listening, or Patrice, I do have a bunch of historical items the museum is interested in. Have someone get a hold of me. That would be great. Item B, request for council appointment of Historical Commissioner Tom Anawaki, term to end June 30th, 2022.
I can make the motion.
Go ahead.
Support.
A motion and support.
Is it a formality that I read it?
Yeah. I was just going to read it. It was.
No, I'll read it. I will make a motion to request council to approve the appointment of Historical Commission Mr. Tom Ioniki, term to end June 30th of 2022.
And we have
Second.
a second. Yes. Any comments or questions on that motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, please call a vote.
Member Bransky,
Yes.
Member Blanky,
Yes.
Member Carnegie,
Yes.
Member Kalka,
No, I mean, I'm just kidding. Yes.
Member Lesage,
Yes.
Member Shornack,
Yes.
Member Winawiki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I see Tom is listening to the meeting. So Tom, congratulations. Thank
Congratulations.
you for your volunteering for the city of Fraser and on the commission.
Appreciate
it.
Yes.
Very
very much.
entertaining group.
Welcome aboard, Tom.
Item C, discussion or action accepting Royal Park Road Phase Number 2. Mr. Thompson, this is the first time I've called on you today.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the conclusion of a process that I understand started years ago. Royal Park Road is off of Mulvey. It's sort of a fishhook in shape, and this is the acceptance by the city of the last third of the roadway. So when we accept it, it will become ours, just like the sort of the front half of the road is, and like the other roads are in the city. It was the planning process laid this out, I'm sure, years ago. Construction's been completed. Our engineers have inspected and recommended that we go ahead and conclude the process here with this action this evening. I think it looks to me like there's one vacant lot there. Generally, this would happen before houses were built, but in this case, it didn't happen that way. There is one vacant lot, it looks like to me, on the property in this plat still, but the other lots have wonderful new homes on them.
Any comments or questions? Councilman Lessig.
Yes, I did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Vigneron about this particular piece of street, and this is a condominium subdivision, and so we have to accept this into our inventory essentially. He assured me that all the necessary testing was done and it was satisfactory to the city. There were some issues along the way, but they were successfully resolved by the developer and AEW and our DPW. So he said he had no issues with it. It's consistent with the way we did the other part of Royal Park and with Foster Court, which is another site condominium. I think that's the proper term. So,
detached condo?
Yeah, it's not a plat. It's not a subdivision plat. It's a site condominiums. Right. Is that the correct term, Don? I'm not. Okay. So there's a different process than a subdivision plat. So this, he was assured me that everything that was done prior, that we have done in prior circumstances like this has been done here, and he was satisfied. Just wanted to pass that along.
Thanks, Mike, because that question was asked. Councilman Shornack.
I just want to make sure that, and I did hear what Mr. Lessig said, but I just want to make sure we for sure did our due diligence on this, because as we know of the other lawsuits the city has suffered because streets were not done correctly when the developers put in the streets and how they shifted and moved houses, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to see that happen to the city again because that was ridiculous, and I just want to make sure moving forward, when we have new developments in the city, that they are 100% being vetted and doing the correct measurements and doing, I know they do the concrete testing and stuff like that, that it is being done correctly.
Well, we received a recommendation from the our engineers addressing, as Mr. Lessig said, I won't read the entire.
No, I saw it. I read it. What we got. My point is this. I don't know, because I obviously was not on council at that time, if that was done by our engineering firm at that time and that they went in and reviewed. I just want to know that we have guarantees now. So basically, I'm taking our engineering firm at their word that they did all their due diligence. I just want to know if this comes back on us at any time in the future, that we have some guarantee or protection or some kind of insurance where it will be taken care of and we won't be sued again and the city will not be on the hook for it. That's my concern.
I'm not sure I can give you a guarantee about what might or might not happen in the future. We do have capable engineers who have recommended that we proceed with this. And I'm sure they have, in regard to insurance, I'm sure they have lots of insurance and they will stand behind their work. So based on their recommendations, I'm comfortable recommending that we proceed with this.
Okay.
Predicting the future is difficult to do, but I think we're as negotiated as we
expect. It's not even that. It's just I want to make sure we have the proper coverage. If indeed something, obviously you can't predict the future. Right. Nobody could have predicted that either. But my point is, if due diligence would have been done, you know, then that wouldn't have happened. And those people wouldn't have had those issues.
So, yeah, Patrice, I did address some of this too with Mr. Thompson, because I kind of feel it's a little bit the same way as sometimes we get these asked for approvals after the project's already done. Everything's built and everything's all set in place, and then they come forward. So sometimes a little bit of due diligence ahead of time sometimes helps us make the best decisions anyway. So we did discuss it. Thank you. Okay, so we have a Mayor Pro Tem Winniewicki.
So by accepting this, what type of funding does Act 51 afford us through the state? Is this for continued maintenance, or is this some type of a check that we get right away because we're accepting it, or is this Act 51 just moving forward?
Mr. Winowicki, I won't profess to know the answer to your question absolutely, but my understanding or my belief is that we would add this to our road inventory, and there's some calculation, which I cannot describe to you, related to the amount of roadway we have. That's my understanding, and I suspect it would, and frankly, we're not adding very much here, as you know, probably 300-400 feet. So I don't think it will be particularly significant. But nevertheless, my understanding is that it will be added for future reference as opposed to anything right now. Okay. Don't say that with certainty, though. I really don't know.
Okay.
Okay. This time I'll entertain a motion.
I would make a motion to accept the, I'm looking for the language here. I'm sorry. I would accept the Royal Park Phase 2 roadway into the city's street inventory to be eligible for Public Act 51 monies.
We have a motion. I'll second the motion. Any comments or questions on the motion? Ms. Bransky, you did have your hand up.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Mayor, didn't we have a resolution, or Mark, did we have a resolution that we were to adopt? I'd like the language to reflect that we're adopting that, if that's the case. I was trying to find it on my system. I didn't want to miss the opportunity.
It's part of the backup package. Resolution number 2021-001.
I'd like to ask Mr. Lesserson if he wouldn't mind amending his motion a little bit to incorporate the adoption of that resolution.
Looking for that resolution, I'd be happy to do
so. It's resolution number 2021-001.
Yeah.
I think he's looking for the page number.
It's on page.
It's on the back of the
map.
Page 88 of 131.
I'm on page 84. I'll be right there. Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Denault.
Okay. On the back of the map. Okay, can I just withdraw that motion, make a new one?
Sure. I'll go with
it. All right, I would withdraw my motion. I would like to make a motion to adopt Royal Park Phase 2 and resolution number 2021-001, resolution for street edition.
I'll second the motion.
Yep, for this, well, let me finish this. For the city to acquire title to Royal Park South and Royal Park right of way. I guess that's enough.
Second. Any comments and questions on that motion? I think we're good. All in favor, Ms. Nolan, could you call a vote, please?
Okay, Member Bransky.
Yes.
Member Blanky.
Yes.
Member Carnegie.
Yes.
Member Kalka.
Yes.
Member Lesage.
Yes.
Member Shornack.
Yes.
Member Winowicki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carries. Item D, discussion and/or action industrial pretreatment program.
Mr. Mayor, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Denault, this one has a resolution also, I believe.
Correct. Resolution recommended by GLWA.
Yes, and this is an amendment to our industrial pretreatment program, which exists already. The amendments are relatively minor. I think the significant amendment relates to PFAS chemicals. In your package was provided some general information about the industrial pretreatment program. It is a requirement, it's a national requirement put in place by the US EPA and then enforced by statewide environmental protection agencies. And part of this was driven, as I understand it, by the change from the city of Detroit to the Great Lakes Water Authority. So that's part of it, and part of it has some minor amendments in terms of content as well. It's, as you read in your package, all communities are required to adopt this new plan. And many communities in Macomb County already have. We're one of the last to get this underway.
Okay. Councilman Lessig.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2020-002, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fraser to concur in the rules and regulations concerning industrial pretreatment program as adopted by the Great Lakes Water Authority.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Okay, Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kalka?
Yes.
Member Lessig?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes.
Member Winawicki?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Item E, discussion and or action zoning ordinance amendment, drive-through fast food restaurant. Counselor, you handle this or Don?
I'll start it, I guess, and then perhaps turn it over to Mr. Denault. This is an amendment to our zoning code that would allow for drive-through restaurants not to be standalone. Our current code requires a drive-through restaurant or a restaurant with a drive-through capacity to be a standalone building, and evidently the Starbucks on Utica must have been granted a variance because they're clearly not a standalone building. And the reason I bring that up is they're right beside that is a standalone building. So both examples are there. And this is a recommendation coming out of our planning commission in recognition of, I think, the development patterns that are happening not only in southeastern Michigan, but across the country in terms of drive-through facilities, and perhaps even more so given COVID kinds of issues. Mr. Denault has been more intimately involved in it. If there are any other questions or comments he'd like to make, that'd be great.
All I would add is that, yes, it did go through planning commission last year. Probably COVID may have had a little something to do with it, but more development patterns. It did require that outlot project to go through the zoning board because the ordinance was so strict about it being standalone. With that being said, this is probably the least amount of redlining you'll ever see from me in an ordinance change. It didn't require many words to be changed, but it also highlights the importance of every word, doesn't it? Because we delete one or two words and suddenly we change the whole meaning of the text. So with that, certainly entertain any questions.
My only questions, and I talked to Mark Thompson about this a while in our meeting, is how did the other restaurants get this through, like the Arby's and Arby's,
Popeyes, Checkers.
Well, those are drive-through standalones.
They're standalones, yeah. Those are all standalones.
But Arby's isn't. Tim Hortons isn't.
No, Arby's is tropical smoothie cafe.
Yeah,
that one.
Standalone. They're in the Meyer parking lot, but they stand on their own. They're not in a sublet. Like.
Right. I think if you're thinking of how Arby's does those joint deals with Baskin Robbins or Dunkin' Donuts sometimes, that's still within one standalone structure and they just share the space inside. They don't have separate tenant spaces. So that was how they were able to proceed, I'm sure, if they didn't have a variance. Probably the interpretation was that they're all in one standalone building.
So like the Coney and the Starbucks, they're kind of on that, they're in a strip, like a small strip mall. That's what
right. Okay.
Don, I have a question for Don.
Yes.
If I could, can you hear me okay? I changed my head.
Yes.
All right. The question would be, if we do this and then it would still go through the planning commission to ensure that that drive-through would be compatible with the footprint of the property and the plans. This would be essentially allows it, and the planning commission would still do their due diligence and ensure that it's suitable for the site. I guess that's the right term.
It's a great question, very important. Everybody understands that, absolutely. This does not remove the Planning Commission review process for site development. That is still public hearing stuff. That is still all going to be transparent. And of course, our planners will also do all the reviews that are required for those. The only thing this helps is it saves that developer an extra step, or that business an extra step, having to seek a variance from the zoning board, which is a costly, time-consuming, delayed process where you have to go through another public hearing to ask for permission to vary from what the ordinance forbids. So this would allow that to occur. It doesn't mean it's going to automatically be approved. Still has to go through all of the review. All of the conditions have to be met. It has to be safe. Traffic studies, etc., stacking studies in terms of how the cars stack up in line. So long as all of that meets the city's criteria, they would be able to approve. And just by way of an example, if Hockeyland ever moves forward with future development of outlots, and they have a business that would like to put a drive-through in an outlot space, this would save them, for example, that step of going to the zoning board.
Councilman Kalka.
Thank you. I guess I kind of was dovetailing off of what the mayor had said. So what would be the reason that Popeyes and Checkers were, they're standalones, they're drive-throughs, they've been there forever. How is it that they have, I don't have any objection to this, but I just think that it's just like, it's not uniform. It's not consistent.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question. Those are standalone buildings that have a drive-through in them. Those are lawfully, let me back up.
So those are okay.
Yes.
Okay, but the drive-through for Starbucks and Tropical Smoothie is not okay.
Yes, because of the building it's in.
Right. It's multiple.
I see. Got it. So I had it backwards. Okay.
Yeah,
fair
in
enough.
The old days,
I was thinking it was for the Taco Bell, and then that's how I got all messed up. Okay. No, I'm on the right page now. Got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
It was just an old standard that we're getting rid of here.
Fair enough.
I do think something was missed though on a Starbucks thing is the traffic flow. I have had multiple calls on it of the roadways, even cars going into Utica.
I think it won't be as bad when the Taco Bell opens up because of the fact that is all, yeah.
Right. We did go out there and look at it. Mark went out there and looked at it also. We're hoping that's the case because it does seem to have a traffic problem there. Councilman Lessig.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to have the City Council of Fraser adopt ordinance number 279, an ordinance to amend zoning ordinance number 279 to amend Article 12, Section 32-170, subparagraphs B, 3, and B4 to require that a fast food restaurant located in a shopping center be aesthetically compatible in design and appearance with other buildings, tenant spaces, and uses in the shopping center, and to allow drive-through service for fast food restaurants that are not in a freestanding building.
Second.
We have a extended motion and a second. Any comments or questions on that motion?
Comment, Mike, is that people have a coffee problem. There's not a traffic problem. There's a coffee problem, clearly.
Well, now we have two coffee places in Michigan or in Fraser, just around the corner from each other.
Yeah, it's good though. We love business in our city, that's for sure. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kalka?
Yes.
Member Lessig?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes.
Member Winawicki?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, before we go on to the next agenda item, can I just ask a question about something you just brought up? And it's probably procedural. Did the council have to approve at any point the site plan for the Coney Island and the Starbucks, and therefore have input into that whole? Okay, so that fell exclusively with the Planning Commission and the ZBA. So we played no role in any problems that may arise.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Just making that clear. I didn't know. I thought maybe we would have to. I didn't understand the hierarchy of different things.
Just if we're going to change the ordinance or something like that, maybe, but yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Item F, discussion and or action of PNC Bank safety deposit box. Mr. Thompson.
We thought we'd interject some levity here. Turns out that the city of Fraser has a safe deposit box at PNC Bank. And when I learned that, because we were paying the bill, I wondered why. And so we began to follow up on it. And it turns out that the only people authorized to open that box are long gone. So we appreciate PNC's protecting what is probably an empty safe deposit box. But in order to open it, see if there is anything inside of it, we need council's authorization. And I suspect that we'll find that it's empty, and we will say we no longer have need for that. I think it costs us $100 a year. No point in doing that. But at any rate, what we would like is a motion from the council to authorize the mayor and the city manager to have access to the safe deposit box at the PNC Bank.
Councilman Baranski.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor and city manager to have the ability to access the PNC Bank safety deposit box and close the account as accordingly.
Second.
A motion second. Any other comments?
Mayor, I have a lawyer question for the maker of the motion.
Sure.
Is it the intent of the motion, Ms. Baranski, to authorize them as individuals to open an access, or in combination with each other?
My motion is for them to collectively together open it, not either or, but and.
In other words, an oversight.
Yes.
I wanted to be clear on that.
Yep. In case it is.
It's the only way I would do it.
The crown jewels of Fraser.
Crown jewels.
Either, but...
I get the crown.
No, better than that. It's the location of Jimmy Hoffa.
Hey.
Somewhere.
And then they
back
can
to the language.
tour.
Back to the language. Then, should we clarify that the motion is to authorize the mayor and the city manager to jointly open the box or collectively open the box?
I have no problem with that amendment.
Kathy, you second? Kathy, do you second the amendment?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Comments or questions? Ms. Dolan, please call a vote.
Member Baranski.
Yes.
Member Blanky.
Yes.
Member Carnegie.
Yes.
Member Kalka.
Yes.
Member Lesage.
Yes. Yes.
Member Shornack.
Yes.
Member Winwicki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll actually tape the opening and feel like Geraldo Rivera. And when we open it, I'll take a quick snap of what's inside of it.
Are you going to go live?
I was going to say do a Facebook Live.
Bring the historical commission. Someone should document.
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure.
And then we should do a time capsule.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Maybe some police presence in case there really is something good in there.
Oh, jeez.
Where all the dead bodies are hidden.
We'll make it a little bit interesting for you.
Let us know.
We can't wait.
Buy that new fire truck.
Or the money for it.
I'm sorry. H, discussion and or extension of the city of Fraser COVID state of emergency through February 11th, 2021.
Motion to approve the extension of the city of Fraser COVID state of emergency through February 11th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions of that motion? Ms. Dolan, please call a vote.
Member Baranski.
Yes.
Member Blanky.
Yes.
Member Carnegie.
Yes.
Member Kalka.
Yes.
Member Lesage.
Yes.
Member Shornack.
Yes.
Member Winwicki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I just ask a question related to this topic of Don? My question is, when can we anticipate, or what's the status on us being able to get back to in-person meetings as it exists currently? Can you give us an update and also the residents an update? Because we all want to get back, and we are waiting for your sage legal wisdom on when that
sage legal wisdom.
I just know, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just know that especially Ms. Shornack will be grateful on that day when I say that it's okay, because I know we're about 10 meetings in now, at least 10 months in, and every month I feel her pain. But that being said, it actually got worse for us with the current DHHS orders that were issued by the state. Those orders tightened up in December, and again now, they just issued a new one that begins this Saturday, and it does not end until February 1st. It loosened a couple of minor restrictions. For some reason, it now allows, for example, bingo halls at reduced capacities, but you must wear a mask at all times, and you may not have any beverage or any food while you're playing bingo in the bingo hall. So little loosenings like that, but nothing of significance for municipal government or public meetings. Technically speaking, no gatherings indoors are permitted with 2 or more households mingling. There are some lighter restrictions if you're outside, but you can't have more than 1 wall. So it's truly outside. There's a restriction that now says, and it said this in the last order too, apparently, that you could dine in a bubble. So those restaurants that have those outdoor bubbles, you can dine in those, but it can only be your household. No guests. You can't meet with other people. So we are under a very tight restriction until at least February 1st. And obviously we're all eagerly awaiting to see if things change over the course of the next 4 weeks or less. And I'm sure we'll have guidance the week before the 1st that will give us some idea of how our February meeting might look.
Great.
Thank you for the bad news.
I should add to that answer. We are authorized, we're not required, but we're authorized under the Open Meetings Act to keep doing this for the entire year 2021 if we need to.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. Let us know as soon as it changes, please.
Item H, discussion. Aye. Discussion of interim city managers contracts.
Extension.
Councilman Kolka.
Sure. I just thought that since next month would be the end of the 6 months, that this would be something that we should talk about and discuss the progress that's been made and kind of, where we need to go from here. I don't want to wait until the last minute. One of the great things we've done as a council, I think, over the last year is try to be proactive in kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with regard to the changes that have needed to be made. So I don't want to wait to the last minute. This council agenda is very light tonight. So I'm in favor of extending Mr. Thompson's contract for at least 3 months. Obviously, if he'll have us. I know that we've asked a lot from him, but from my perspective, he's done a phenomenal job. He's hit the ground running. He's really been the city manager that I think we have needed for a very long time, and we've been very fortunate to get him. And so from my perspective, I would be willing to agree to an additional 3-month extension at this point. I would like to make sure we have all of the other, because we have a lot of moving parts, right? We're looking at replacing a lot of different department heads at this point, and I would like to get those in place prior to implementing the new permanent city manager. I think that getting those department heads in place is incredibly critical prior to getting a new city manager. So for me, he's doing a great job. Him and Amy Sell are working very well together. He's working very well with council. So for me, if he'll have us, I would love to extend his contract out for an additional at least 3 months, if not 6. I don't want, and I just want to make it clear, I don't want to rush this process. We have a lot that we have to do. And even if we decided that we wanted to extend it, and obviously this might be a conversation that needs to take place between now and maybe next month, I want to just make sure that we take our time with making sure we have the right pieces in place so that when we are going out for our city manager, that we are not rushed. And I think that's very critical going forward, because we have worked very hard this last year and a half to get us where we're at today. And, you know, we've done an excellent job, I think, as a council collectively in making very good decisions. We all have the vision of what we would like to see going forward. So I just don't want to be rushed. And like I said, I can't say enough good things about Mr. Thompson. I think, and I think he can only bring an additional skill set that will continue on in the next 3 months. So that's my piece, and whatever anyone else would like to add.
I'll second.
Well, thanks. We've been talking, as I mentioned to you, Mark, had some discussions. At this point, my hope was to get a consensus of the council that everybody was interested or going forward, and to sit down with Mr. Thompson and then bring it to a vote on the next meeting. But I will follow the lead of council. Didn't want to put him on the spot. Just, you know, with the number of dates and all this time to throw in front of them without any notice. But that's what my position was at this time. Councilwoman Baranski.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I concur with Ms. Kalka that we should start the dialogue now with Mr. Thompson, and hopefully he will be willing to continue on. And obviously he doesn't have to decide tonight, but I do want to absolutely show my support, my encouragement, and my absolute desire to have him continue to navigate us through this transition period. I love the plan that has been put together by Amy Sell. I love the positive steps forward we've taken to make sure it's not business as usual. This city was mismanaged for years, and that's why we had to do PA 33. And I hope that Mark can reach an agreement with the city to continue to navigate us temporarily, so that we can get the foundation back, and then we can get a new permanent city manager. So I give my full support to that dialogue starting now.
Yep. Yes, that's also my position. As I said, the dialogue starts now, and the decision and time can be voted on at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mayor Pro Tem Wiki.
So I concur with everything that's been said about Mr. Thompson. He's an outstanding asset to this community at this time. And I applaud all the work that you've done, everything that all the steps that you've taken to get us where we're at today, like Councilwoman Kalka said. And no pressure, but we do need your answer within the next 30 seconds. Just kidding. I'm not. But I would sincerely appreciate if you would consider staying on. And if you were so inclined to answer today, and again, no pressure, I would be in total support of that.
Anybody else at this time? Patrice, Councilwoman Shornack.
I would also agree with those statements. I won't reiterate the whole entire thing, so I concur.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, or was Ms. Blanken? Go ahead.
I agree with everything, and just as an incentive, I wanted you to know that Michigan winters get better. It's been a mild one. The weather's going to change. So I hope you consider all those things.
You know, he's only from Ohio.
Yeah.
I know.
They get more snow than we get.
Northern Ohio at that.
That's awesome.
Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
Well, first of all, thank you for all of the kind comments. It's greatly appreciated, and people in my business don't often get those kinds of comments, so they are particularly meaningful. And I would say that I am enjoying my time. Certainly, our community has a host of challenges, and we've made some progress on some of them. And frankly, we haven't made as much as I would like on some of the others. But with challenge comes opportunity, and that's the way we want to look at this, I think, as we look forward. I will tell you that I greatly enjoy and appreciate the support from the council. And I also say to you that I enjoy working with the staff people that I work with. They're good folks, and I think there's a solid core of people that we can build upon and move the community forward. in terms of the contract, I'll be honest with you, I signed it about 6 months ago and stuck it somewhere, haven't looked at it since. So but it did say about 6 months, and we're getting close to that. So I spoke briefly with the mayor who called to tell me this issue might come up, called this evening. And the one thing that I said to him that I would say to you all is that I certainly wasn't going to sort of cut and run and leave the city of Fraser without someone in the position. You have been good to me, and I appreciate that, and I have enjoyed the work. So I'd like to sit down with the mayor, talk about it, and come back to you at the next meeting. But I'm enjoying this. It works very well for me, and I'm glad to hear that the council is pleased as well. So we'll be back at the next meeting.
Yes, great. That sounds excellent.
Councilman Lessig.
Yes, thank you, Mark, for your comments. I appreciate your work here. The question I have, when we hired you, the term was 4 to 6 months, and we were going to start searching for a city manager. The plan that I've seen has the search for the city manager starting in April, which is 3 months from now. So I don't want this to be a 6 months, then 3 months, then 3 months. I'd like to have some specificity so that we have a plan going forward to seat a permanent city manager. No offense to you, but that's the role. You're an interim, and our goal here is to find someone long-term. So
that's my goal as well, Mr. Lessig.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm sure it is. And I just would like that to be part of the planning so that when we come back, that we can say if you're interested, if all the details work out, that it's this, and we're going to go out and search for a city manager on this timeline. I think June's a long way off, and that will be almost a year since we terminated Mr. O'Neill. I think that's plenty of time to find a city manager. I would prefer that be done sooner. And so I'm interested to see what you and the mayor and whoever can work things out. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilwoman Blanky.
I would just like to, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but Councilman Lessig, you just mentioned that we terminated Mr. O'Neill. I believe we didn't renew his contract. Would that be more correct? Anyone?
100%.
Yeah, correct.
100%. We did not terminate him.
Thank you.
Okay, the minutes reflect termination. I sorry, I'm not the lawyer here, and I was referring. We parted ways with Mr. O'Neill in June of last year. That's all. So it's been a year. It will be a year in June, and that was the timeline that I saw as a tentative timeline to seating a city manager. I think that's at the outward bounds of what I would be comfortable with. That's all.
Okay, and I thank you, Councilman. It's important. Words have consequences, and I don't want anyone to think that we did something that we didn't. So thank you.
Okay. Ms. Colker, you made a motion. Would you like to withdraw that motion until the next?
No, the motion was just for the discussion. It's not it's not to extend a contract. It's just to discuss the extension of the contract.
All right, I just heard Kathy second it, so I thought it was a motion. Okay, we're good. Thank you. Let's see. Item 10, pending items of unfinished business and report of city administration. Mr. Thompson, do you have anything else you'd like to report?
As it relates to actually some of the topics we've just touched on, we are in the process of trying to fill some vacancies, as the council is aware, and Mrs. Sell is with us and can participate in this conversation as well. This is my first time with the council, but some of the positions we're looking at are significant positions in the organization, and we're trying to make sure that we follow this process in a way that is both appropriate and has good results in terms of getting good people in the key positions. obviously council has a role to play in that, and we wanted to talk about exactly what that role might be and how the council is involved in that process. To pick up on what Mr. Lessig said, we want to keep this process moving in terms of these positions that we're seeking right now. And just we're trying to figure out the best way to get that done in terms of involving council. And there are lots of pieces in a selection process in terms of recruiting and finding people and doing background checks and a number of things that take some time. Part of that is involvement by the council. Mrs. Sell, would you like to add any comments to that? We want to have some dialogue with the council about how they are best to participate.
Oh, definitely. And love to look forward to engaging the council in a variety of ways. As a brief update for the superintendent for the Department of Public Works, we received about 37 applicants. Many of them did not meet the minimum requirements. About 7 and 8 or 8 received a good consideration. 3 had initial interviews, and 2, I am recommending we move forward with interviews. On the assistant city manager finance director, we've had around 80 total applicants. About 7 to 8 again seem promising. I would say about 4 of those are going through initial interviews. It's too early to tell who we will recommend moving forward with, but the hope would be that, again, another 2 to 3 candidates would be good for candidates for council to interview. My suggestion would be to add time in the next council meeting for interviews of 1 to 2 finalists, potentially for both positions if things continue to go well. And I would like to have a small number of council members that might have time next week to engage with interviews with the DPW superintendent as an additional screening before bringing the finalists to council would be a recommendation I would like to make, and would love to see discussion on it so that we can put together a process that is going to be most comfortable for council.
Okay, well, let's do that right now so we can get it going. Councilwoman Bransky.
Yes, I have a question and a thought. I personally would prefer, because we never really know what our agenda is going to be until we get it, and especially with this happening and that, we deferred things to next month. If possible, to me, because these are department heads, I would rather do all the interviews for both on a special meeting.
Yes, that would be the plan. I would love to do that.
To me, and between now and the next meeting. So I would love if either I'm looking at a calendar, the last weekend of January or the first weekend of February, so that hopefully then at the next meeting, if time allows, then we could approve the contract and, boom, have that done. Because obviously there has to be negotiations and whatnot. That's my first thought. My second thought is, thank you. I heard 70 applicants. I don't know when Fraser in the last 5 years has 70 applicants for any job, or 80 applicants, I think you said. So thank you for that. And I am willing to participate and assist in any capacity if I have availability, but if other people want to do it, I'm fine deferring to them as well.
So thank you, Amy. Second, Amy, what day did you want to pick a date, Amy Sell, for the support you want during the week, so we can nail it down to how many and who you would like to participate?
If I can make a suggestion, in my past in team building, we did initially the phone interviews and then brought that information back to a full interview with the full team, which is what we're talking about here, having a full interview with the full team. So I'd volunteer to make an initial phone call or a phone interview with each candidate that you're recommending, and be willing to discuss that with council and then bring it back to a full team meeting. That keeps us kind of out of a Zoom meeting, you know, to where we might be repeating questions, but we might be repeating questions in individual interviews, but we might be able to share that information and have a different interpretation.
Yeah, I believe that's what Amy was talking about doing, Dave, is getting a couple of council people to assist in those type of interviews first, and then have a full team review.
Yeah, right. But kind of independently, as opposed to 2 or 3 of us getting together and having a Zoom and then bringing them into the full thing. Me personally, I'd like to have a one-on-one phone interview with each of the candidates.
I'm the opposite. I'd rather have a collective, because I think that we build off each other's strengths, and I don't want to waste the candidates, because now you're talking, they've already had interviews with Amy Sell. You know, then they're going to have this, then hopefully if they're lucky, then a final interview with council. And I don't want to duplicate efforts and ask them the same questions that you asked, because we're pretty good at, I hear you ask it, I get the answer and move on, but I'll defer to the majority.
Well, that's what we hired Amy Sell to do, is pick the best process for us to do. And let's try to nail it down to what's the best for city council and for us to move forward.
Well, I would like to nail down the date, if we could reserve a date for the full council to bring in. Because we do have some candidates that might have some urgency, and because the talent market good talent is hard to find and attract, I wouldn't want to lose out on anybody. Would it be possible to perhaps have a special meeting on 2 weeks from now on the 28th?
I'm open on 28th.
Yep, me too.
Great. And then I will communicate with the candidates that should be the save the date. And then I would like to have some additional council people meet with the candidates. You know, at a time, I'd like to coordinate schedules with the candidates as well as the individuals in the next week again, there's still a few moving parts on this, but I'd love to involve Dave and Councilmember Winowicki and Councilmember Bransky and others in a way where you can get to know the people. I think, and Mark did text me, I guess he lost his connection. So, you know, Mark and I do not have that historical knowledge and can't sell the city of Fraser as well as you all. So I think being, you know, having, and also given that Mark is interim, I think involving all of the council at least once would be wonderful. And then to have a few council members that are willing to engage in additional time to help with screening and just assessing fit and the culture, I think would be a very robust interview process. That way we can have multiple touch points over a few weeks. So we can, you know, get to know candidates in a variety of different ways to make sure that we are staffing these critical positions with the best person possible. And if we don't find that candidate, we will keep looking. But I do feel like some of them we have some very good candidates in the mix and we might be ready to move forward with somebody in 2 weeks for either or both of the positions.
Well, I'm available too next week if you need me.
Great.
Any other council members that are available?
So just to reiterate, do you want us to, because I saw your email and obviously we've been talking about a lot of different things, but you want us to do like phone interviews with them, or you want to do like a collective, like a panel with them and then have the special meeting on the 28th with the final ones? Tell me what your vision is for that.
Yeah, so I will take whatever I can get. So at this point, it looks like there will be a small group interview that will include Councilmember Bransky. It looks like there will be a one-on-one phone interview with Dave Winowicki, as well as, so probably the mayor and Councilmember Bransky might do a group meeting, and then Dave might have an individual meeting. That would be very good. I could get the feedback from the three of them. And if they feel comfortable, then the candidates would come to meet with everybody. at a special meeting on the 28th. So I'm feeling really good. And if other people want to get engaged, great. But you know, everybody will meet this candidate at least once. So.
Okay. So I'm available on the 28th. So if you need a third for the 28th, because it sounds like David might do his own individual ones.
The 28th is the group.
I'm sorry. Let me back up.
Yeah.
I'm available next Friday, which is the 22nd. So if you need a third, I'm available for that as well. I agree with Council Member Baranski, only because I do like the whole bounce back, feed off, because I'm not the best when I'm individually, unless I'm, you know, I spend like 5 hours, and so I'd rather do it that way.
Great.
But
I'm available whenever. Just let me know ahead of time so I can schedule it at work.
Great.
What time would you like the meeting to start on the 28th, Amy?
I think the 6:30 seems to work well.
Okay, candidates would be good with that?
I think so.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Lessig.
Okay, presuming that there's a discussion by council members with these candidates, these two candidates would then appear for a final interview, because there wouldn't be any situation where a subset of the council would make a decision not to interview a candidate. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, so let me say that a different way. Assuming that the council discusses with these two potential DPW candidates, both of those candidates would be afforded a final interview?
Mm-hmm.
That would be my intention. My intention is not to remove anyone from a vote, but instead to market and sell and almost equally be the cheerleaders or recruiters for the city, because they may have questions that Amy, Sel, and Mark couldn't answer, while also giving us an opportunity to be a little bit more delving in person, or I mean, interpersonal, as opposed to 7 of us in the meeting. But yeah, my intention was not to eliminate anyone, because we are a vote of council 7-0. I am not one.
That is correct.
Yeah, I wanted to make that perfectly clear that there will be no decision outside of the public meeting about not interviewing someone.
Nope.
Okay, and so it looks like everyone wants to talk to these candidates. Does that, Don, does that present any kind of an open meeting act issue? Besides having more than 2, or I mean, more than 3 at one time? What are the concerns? Do you have any concerns?
Thank you, Mr. Lessig. No, I don't have any concerns as long as we follow a strict protocol. No more than 3 can participate in any telephone or Zoom or other kind of pre-interview process or panel process. I don't want to see any round robining or any, bringing people into the fold in different ways. Just let's keep it very strict. Let's let Amy Sel run the show in terms of making sure everybody follows the protocols. And obviously we don't want separate interactions, because we don't want candidates receiving different questions or different protocols in terms of how they're treated, because one person asked this question, another person asked that question, and we don't have comparable responses. So let's try to keep it strict and follow the plan. But as long as we follow that plan, I don't have any open meetings act concerns.
Okay.
And I have no problem if 2 others want to, I can bow out. I'm just offering my services because I have flexibility in my schedule and I'm obviously interested. So, but if someone really has a burning desire to do it, I have no problem not being one of the 3 that does it. Because it would need to be 3 or less, correct, Don?
Right.
Okay.
The more the merrier. Councilman Lessig.
Yes, if the council decides to move forward with that format, I would prefer a motion and a vote so that we're all on the same page. And I would volunteer to be on the panel, at least with the DPW superintendent.
Don, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Can I have 2 panels?
For each position, you mean?
Yeah, so that I could have like a panel with 2 and a panel with 3.
Do you mean for each separate position, or do you mean different panels for different candidates for the same position?
For the same panel, so that if I could potentially have 4 or 5 council people speak with each candidate, but at separate times.
Oh, I see what you're asking. You want to have, you want to give as many people the opportunity, but through the structured process that you can afford them. That is fine with me. because no decisions will be made and they will be independent of each other. There won't be any crossover. So as long as you keep it strict, and you and I can work that out. But yeah, I don't have any Open Meetings Act concerns. No decisions are made. This is strictly meet, interview, get to know, ask questions, talk, and then actual decisions, if any, are going to be made at a formal council meeting.
Thank you.
Sorry, I keep asking questions. Would council be given some kind of summary of the Q&A that happened prior to the 28th? Because you said no round robin, so
right,
we've got to be careful about that. And if 5 of us are talking to the candidates, then we're almost a round robin. Right? I just want to make sure we're doing this carefully.
Absolutely. I do think it would be a great idea for Amy Sell, when each panel is concluded, well, first of all, to bring preset questions to the panels if we're going to do more than one panel, and then have those answers be summarized, I suppose, for lack of a better word, and circulated by Amy Sell.
Okay. And I'll work closely with Don on next steps and documents.
Councilwoman Coco.
Thank you. So I just have a question. Since we're putting this in place for this round of interviews, would it be fair to maybe put this in place for the other interviews we have coming down the pipe? In other words, this will be like the precedent to set for how we're going to go about doing all of the different interviews going forward, so it kind of moves a little bit more smoothly.
The city manager interview I would do differently, but
of course.
But, yeah.
Everybody else. Okay, perfect. I like it. Just tell me where you want me to be.
I'll work on scheduling tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
So what do we want the motion to look like then? Don?
I would think at this point, Amy Sell is asking council for a motion to authorize the establishment of 2 panels to hold pre-screening interviews with potential candidates that she is recommending for the position of DPW superintendent. And in that motion, somehow we'll have to figure out who's going to be on each panel.
Well, do we have to determine that today, because it's going to be time dependent when the panel is held as to availability of the council? Like the motion, like I'm anticipating up to 2 panels, time to be set by Amy Sell next week, obviously. And then aren't we also trying to interview the acting assistant city manager next week as well?
Yep.
Because we want to interview both positions at the special meeting. So does that make sense, Don? Because obviously Suzanne can only do it Friday, but if the candidates can't do it Friday, then that Suzanne, I'm assuming, is okay with that. And same with me, like if something comes up, I don't want you holding it up for me because I'm only one of 7.
I have flexibility, so just let me know when you need me. As long as I've got I've got a little bit of time, I might be able to move some things around. So I have my schedule's pretty flexible right now. Would it be possible though that to dovetail off of what Amy just said, that each of 2 panels not to exceed 3, and then that way we can just work on the scheduling and the logistics of that later on?
Let's do that. Let's authorize Amy Sell to establish 2 panels. Each panel not to exceed 3 separate and distinct individual council members. And then she can go ahead with that authorization and decide who can fit which time slots.
Perfect.
Great.
And I will make that motion to authorize Amy Sell to establish 2 panels not to exceed 3 members of council to do pre-screening interviews for the Department of Public Works superintendent and the assistant city manager position.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions on that motion? Mr. Lessig?
I just happened, Don used a word in there that I think is important, distinct panels. Right. That's all. I just want to make that clear that you can't have one person on both panels. It's got to be 2 panels of 3 separate individuals. Does that make sense? Would that be correct?
I'd be more comfortable with, for example, to use Mike, since he asked the question, not to put Mike Lessig on both panels. Let's not have overlap. So
do we mean both panels for the DPW, not both panels for both candidates? Okay. Okay, then if you need to insert the word distinct into my motion, I'm fine with that. And Kelly will give you the wording.
And Ms. Kalko's good with that, I assume.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The clearer, the better.
Okay, good. Any other comments or questions on the motion? I see none. Ms. Dolan, could you please call a vote?
Okay, Member Baranski.
Yes.
Member Blanky.
Yes.
Member Carnegie.
Yes.
Member Kalka.
Yes.
Member Lesage.
Yes.
Member Shornack.
Yes.
Member Winawiki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item 10B, discussion and or action of senior activity center van driver.
Mr. Mayor, before we do that, did we establish a next meeting of the city council to be the 28th, or was that just being talked about? I just wanted to bring it up for two reasons. One, I do have a conflict that night if that's important. Yeah. I'll try to make this my priority, but I already have another preset meeting that evening at 7. But I should be part of this, but I should be available to be part of this. I just want to make sure everybody understands that possibility.
Well, I was going to make a motion at my turn, but I'll be glad to make a motion now to hold I'll make a motion to hold a special meeting for interviews on January 28th at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
For all council. We have a motion and we have a second.
Yeah, I said
comments or questions on the motion? Mr. Lesage.
Just because we're making a motion to have a meeting, does that mean if we're not ready to interview these candidates, that meeting will still take place? Because you have the ability as the mayor to call a special meeting at any time.
Right.
So it's not really necessary to have a motion to do this. And I'm just concerned if we're not ready for the interviews or we may want to reschedule for whatever, that we're setting ourselves to have a specific date. I understand the 28th is fine, but
okay.
Thereabouts.
I'm good with either or, Mike. It's just if Don wanted a date to nail in stone, then okay. I made the motion, but I know I can call it any time. But if everyone has the date.
Okay. I prefer to have the date so Amy Sell can then lock down the candidates because she's the one that asked for the date. So I think that's how you do it in scheduling.
That's fine.
And sure. Mr. Lessage's question too. We can always cancel the meeting. That's one of those Open Meetings Act opinions that I take where you're not making a decision on public policy if you just as a group say we don't need a meeting now because we can't move forward, or as a group you say let's hold the meeting because even though we can't move forward on this, we'll hold the meeting anyway because there's other things that need to get done. So I'm good with that if you all are.
So we have a motion and a second. Ms. Dolan, please call a vote.
Okay, Member Baranski.
Yes.
Member Blanky.
Yes.
Member Carnegie.
Yes.
Member Kalka.
Yes.
Member Lesage.
Yes.
Member Shornack.
Yes.
Member Winawiki.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, back to item 10B, discussion and or action of senior activity center van driver. I don't believe Mr. Thompson was able to get back on yet.
Yes.
Is he? Okay, I don't see him.
Audio.
By phone.
Oh, okay. Okay, Mark, you on? Can you hear us?
Mark?
Bueller?
I don't see a microphone by his name. Anybody see a microphone?
I am, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep.
I apologize. I don't know what happened, but I lost a signal. Anyway, this is relatively simple. We are seeking authorization to bring back the second senior van driver, just so that we have a backup. As was provided in the report, we provide trips a couple days a week, 3 to 5 a day, something like that. But right now we have one person doing that, and like everybody else, on occasion that person isn't available. We want to be able to use a second person. It's the same person who we laid off. So it's very simple. But we want to be very respectful of the council's actions or council's request regarding the hiring freeze and bringing people back. would not add to our costs. If the second driver is driving, that would only be because the first driver is unavailable. So we don't see more driving occurring, just having some flexibility is all this is.
Well, I agree, having some experience in that you definitely need a backup, because if you don't have a driver, it makes it confusing, very confusing for those that
Yes.
need it. So I would like to make a motion to be able to, that you be able to hire a second van driver.
Second.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I have one.
Ms. Kolka, go ahead, please.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. My only concern with this is I just want to make sure that how is this going to work logistically in terms of pay? What is the job description going to be of the van driver when they're not working? Are they going to be paid on an on-call basis? Is there other tasks that the on-call driver is going to do? Or are they just going to get paid to wait until the other? I just want some clarification so that we kind of know.
They get paid when they drive the van, and that's all. So there would not be other costs if they're not driving. They wouldn't get paid, and I can't remember what we pay them now. But
okay.
Just to make it, yeah, that's all. This is just a person. We're gonna call and say, "Are you available to drive?" And that's all. This is not bringing someone back who would do anything other than drive the van and would only get paid when they're driving the van.
So they're just kind of waiting for us to call them, and then they drive the van when we need them as a secondary backup.
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not paying them wages and we may not utilize their services, because that's kind of, I want to try to avoid that kind of, situation in the future. So that's all I was just trying to make sure that there was clarification on. So thank you.
Councilwoman Blanky?
Yeah, Councilwoman Kalka, it's sort of like a substitute teacher thing. You'd call in for that teacher. And I believe, Mark, I think I'm in the ballpark. That wage is probably around $12 an hour, just so everybody knows.
I believe you're very close, yes. I
Okay.
can't remember exactly, but it's certainly right in there somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so at this point, we do have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Dolan, please call a vote.
Member Baranski?
Yes.
Member Blanky?
Yes.
Member Carnegie?
Yes.
Member Kalka?
Yes.
Member Lesage?
Yes.
Member Shornack?
Yes.
Member Winawicki?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Number 11, report of mayor and city council. And I will start from the top, go left. Councilman Lesage.
I had to be first. Not a whole lot. It's 2021. Seems like December 45th, but hopefully this year will get better. The vaccine is out. And I had a meeting today, the macro meeting, which is Macomb County Municipal group, and we had Vicki Wolber from the county there. She talked about the vaccine rollout. They are looking at community sites for vaccination when they get a sufficient supply. Last week they had 1,000 doses. This week they got 3,900. It's week to week. They don't know until Monday how many doses they are getting for the week, and that's when they set up the appointments on their system. And so that's been the headache. They went to 1B, and she said that expanded the eligible population to 300,000 people in our county, and we are only getting between 1,000 and 3,900 doses per week. So hopefully vaccines will roll out quicker. Some other conversations we had with other communities, they're all looking at long-term event planning, being late fall or fall, Oktoberfest, things like that. So at the moment, everyone is figuring that spring and summer activities will be minimal. So everyone's in the same boat we are. And hopefully we will see the light at the end of the tunnel, as everyone has been saying. So, other than that, I don't have a whole lot tonight. I would like to say thank you. for keeping it to 9 o'clock, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mike. Councilwoman Baranski.
Yes, I want to echo the sentiments and thank Mark, Amy Sell, and Kelly for keeping the agenda tight and getting us out of here early. 2020 was a really difficult year for everyone. It was a difficult year for the city. We've had a lot of changes, and I just want to let the residents, the businesses, and probably most importantly, the employees know we are making changes to make sure that the city of Fraser is financially viable for years and decades to come. More changes are going to come because we need to move the city forward and get out of the business as usual mentality. But I think that we are definitely over the hump and we're getting there. And I think with the new hires and new strategies that are being implemented, we're going to get there and hopefully reduce our reliance on PA 33, if not eliminate it entirely, which has been my goal. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows to reach out to us if there are any questions or concerns, and never doubt what our goal is. We all live here. We all pay the same taxes. And we want people that want to live here. We want employees that want to work here, and we want to be able to keep our employees employed. And that's our goal. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Shornack.
Yes, I have a question. So I know that we were supposed to get new equipment at City Hall with all of our lovely media stuff and everything like that. And I want to know where the progression is on that. Does anybody know?
I believe that's all in. Lieutenant Bisbee knows better than I, but I think everything is in at the City Hall that we're expecting.
Okay, so all the upgrades have been done?
I believe so.
Okay, well, that's...
In City Hall, the answer is yes, all the upgrades are done here, but the remote stuff is not ready yet. Some of the stuff was broken or waiting on reship.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, that was one of my questions.
It's a very nice control room. When you get in here, you can check it out.
Well, yeah, when we have the baby, I'll be there because she doesn't, I don't have her tonight. So that's why I'm like, okay, I can stay home because otherwise it's just not conducive to having a meeting. This is why I can't work from home. Okay. But that being said, yeah, I would also say that, you know, obviously this last year has been a challenge. Hopefully we get to have meetings again in person and enough of the lockdown and everybody being apart, because in a semi-humorous thing, my little brother kept saying, you know, we're going to have the zombie apocalypse and everybody's brains are going to be eaten. Well, instead we have the COVID crazy because everybody apparently has let their brains be sucked out of their head when it comes to common sense and things they should or shouldn't do, and attacking each other. And apparently everybody has not have, as adults, have not learned to agree to disagree. Instead, they just want to attack each other on social media. This is another reason why I stay off of it. But, you know, that being said, I hope people will learn to respect others' differences of opinion on things and then just move forward from there, because I don't think politics are worth losing long-term relationships or family. And I've seen that happen a lot over this last year, and I've seen a lot of businesses go down. So I'm hoping, because I really just don't understand this whole, you can eat outside, so put a tent up with heaters and you still have everybody gathering there. It makes absolutely no sense. So I'd like to see some common sense in what we're trying to do as far as protecting others. And, you know, I hope everybody's getting out there and supporting our businesses as much as they can, because when this is done, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of really ticked off that I can't go sit down and have a nice steak dinner and just not have to deal with the cleanup. I know I'm tired of cleaning up. So I think a lot of people have had their fair share of takeout, and I'm one of them that would rather just sit down in a restaurant and enjoy that time with others. So I just pray we get back to that very soon, and hope everybody does well in 2021.
Great, thank you. Councilwoman Blanky.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say I have no comment on a whole bunch of stuff because it doesn't seem to matter right now, but I do. Thank God we got through 2020, so that gives us the hope. And I read a long time ago, in the darkest sky, you see the brightest star. So I'm hoping we all see that bright star pretty soon. Have a good couple weeks. God love you. Good night.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Winawiki.
A lot's been said, and I won't repeat any of it. So I don't have a whole lot, but I hope everyone had a very safe and happy New Year. And congratulations, Care House, Turning Point, and Interfaith and MCREST for the funds that were granted to you, and hopefully you'll utilize them well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Suzanne Kolka.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. Everyone has said some amazing things tonight. And I think that this past year has been incredibly challenging, and we as a council have had to do some very difficult things, but we have done them because of, you know, our taxpayers and because of wanting to have one agenda, and that is making sure that there is accountability for the money. And we want to make sure that there is transparency here, 100%. So while we've had to do some very difficult things, it is because there's problems, massive problems. And it isn't easy to have change. It isn't easy for reform, especially things that have been going on for decades. So this is why, you know, I pushed very hard to bring in Amy Sell so that we can have accountability, so we can have checks and balances, so we can have people awake at the switch, so we know where the money is going, and we know how it's being spent, and we know how the time is being used and utilized every day. That's for you. And that takes a lot of effort, and it's hard. It's very hard to do. So the vision that we have going forward in 2021, I really feel like we've climbed a mountain behind us. We have different mountains to climb in 2021, but the mountain for reform, I think, is behind us. And I think what you're going to see in 2021 is you're going to see the implementation of brand new people with great energy. And that's what we need. Great energy, lots of positivity, not negativity, not toxicity. We need the positivity and great energy. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. So if anybody has any questions about the vision that we have as council going forward, please call me. Please reach out. Because in order to create change, it does make it that you have to dig your heels in, and you gotta make difficult decisions. And they're not popular decisions. But we're doing it, as Councilwoman Baranski said, to make us fiscally responsible and prudent for the future, not just turning a blind eye. And that takes a lot of diligence, a lot of due diligence, because there's a lot of moving parts going on here. A lot. And sometimes it doesn't look like we've been doing a lot because of the differences in all the moving parts. But in the last 6 to 8 months, we've done so much as a council. And I'm going to hold back the majority of my comments with regard to all those things because the timing isn't right yet. But I want you to know that we are working harder than ever for you guys, for all of our taxpayers, because we do have a vision for the future. And yes, government takes time, and that's unfortunate that it does, but we do have a vision. So that being said, Happy New Year to all, and hopefully we can get back at it soon and be together in the same room sooner than later. Thanks.
Thank you. I really don't have much for tonight. I did want to emphasize a little bit on what Councilman Lesich said. I had a brief meeting with the County Executive Mark Hackle last week on the COVID vaccinations. Yeah, unfortunately, when the governor released more of the people, it crashed the total system at the county. But he wants everyone to be advised, just keep trying the number to make your appointments. They are getting some more doses in. And then Myers now is going to be doing some of the injections for people. They're going to take a big contract from the state, and they're going to try to really start pushing this and making sure that they have the secondary shot for the people who get the first shot. So keep trying those numbers, get your appointment. Best is to call as early as possible to arrange for your appointment. And let's see. Well, the holidays went well for us, everybody in the department. Did a lot of charity work for the holidays and the New Year. So every event that we did was very successful, and we wanted to thank some of the residents for their donations and for money. I was able to get some food and some gifts for some needy kids in the city, and we did that. And it was a great part of the year for us every time we do that. So with that, everyone have a great 2021. Hopefully everything gets much better for everyone. And we look forward to seeing you soon. At this time, I will open it up for citizen participation. If anyone has any comments. I don't think anybody is on. There's nobody in the room, so. Yeah, we have nobody in the waiting rooms at all. So at this time, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Good night. Bye-bye.